All right, Eric, thanks for joining me today, my friend. So, for those that are listening in, if you could briefly describe your operation, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
So my operation is a hog, cow, crop operation. It's in Missouri. It's just a 24/7 farm. It never sleeps. People feed. There's someone here every day of the year feeding, and then we go through the seasons. So Missouri experiences every season, so you know, we have to change as we go. So that's basically the operation. It's like a 3,000 acre, 500 sow, 300 cow operation.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on for sure.
A
Yeah.
busy spot. So,
Talk about the generations of the farm. How many generations are you into?
I'll be the fourth generation here.
Generation. Yep.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
I guess I'm the only one that's left or whatever. So my dad left the operation in February of last year of 2021. So
Awesome.
it's been a deal. So
And then also wife and kids at home, right?
yeah, two kids and a wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
8 and 5.
So
So we're starting to get busier and busier every year. So,
not only with the family, but the operation, the cattle operation, and then the hog operation on top of that. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of stuff going on. So let's kind of back up and let's say for the person listening in, kind of briefly describe what was really not working in your business in the operation before Legacy Farmer.
Before Legacy Farmer, it was just always just a shot in the dark. I think I've had a couple tax people, so they never, they were not really dedicated to the farmer. So that was what wasn't working, was not really knowing. So I would go all year and be like, "Ooh, it seems like a really good year." And then when you got to tax time, you try to get the tax guy to come, meet you. I always tried to shoot for like December 15th. And then he'd be like, "Oh, you're good." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good." He's like, "Yeah, go ahead and buy something." And then I would just, buy something. And then by the time that we filed the taxes, he was like, "Oh, well, we found this also." And it was like, "Found what?" And he was like, "Well, you were already overspent. So now you're going to show a negative income." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. It never really worked too well
Yeah, after the fact when the
after the
advice came
fact."
to buy the piece of equipment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I
So
was
that
always, I was always overextended, and it was like, well, why did I do that? I could have not just bought it. I didn't really have to have it. You're just buying something for the next year. You could have just bought it exactly when you needed it, not, into the future.
Well, and just trusting the advice that was given because you believe that, that was the truth of the numbers at that time. And logically, that's what made sense.
Yeah. That's what you do, is what all you can do is the best as you can be, is what someone tells you,
Yeah,
especially if you're not the one doing it, if you're not the one that's in it all the time. So,
exactly. So let's talk, that's just from a tax perspective then. So we go out and buy all this machinery and equipment. What does this do though to our cash flow?
uh, well, it looks like you made a lot of money, but at the end of the day, yeah, it wrecks it. Doesn't do it very good at all.
Yeah.
Makes you have negative cash flow. And then when the things do come up, like you want to buy something like a land, piece of property or something, and you don't have any cash flow, then they're not going to lend you any money if they can't show that the numbers work. So
Well, and that's the thing we can't see is we understand a lot of the time that there's going to be a tax problem, especially here. We got $7, $8, corn this year. And if it goes higher, now we're looking at tax problems. And our only strategy right now, what we've been taught from our CPAs and just their education is literally just to go out and buy a piece of equipment without really looking at how it's going to change our financial position. Sometimes, my friend, like you and I both know, it's actually probably better just to pay the freaking tax bill this year.
yeah,
Because what we can't see, like you said, is now that we buy this piece of equipment, well, what happens after we buy that piece of equipment? Is it always bought on cash or is it credit? Do we take
yeah,
a
right,
loan out on it?
yeah, taking a
90% of
loan
the
out on
time
it.
it's a loan, right?
Yeah,
We can't, we forget that's, we've just made a 5 to 7 year decision based off of 1 year of tax returns.
right. Yeah, guy
And
just
then,
needs to know the numbers. That's for sure.
yeah. and then prices go down, and then we have a tight cash flow, and that's where, a lot of guys unfortunately get on the flip side of things, right?
Right.
So let's talk about coming into legacy farmers. So we came in, and we didn't have any entity structure. There was really just no business organization, never been taught. As we talked in the beginning, there was really nothing that had been introduced to you how to get this business and stuff set up. So kind of, if you could kind of share with me that process, because from like day one, like we went to work, we got entities and stuff set up, we figured out bookkeeping, we're focusing on tax planning right now. So what has really changed for you and the way you feel about your business right now since coming into Legacy Farmer and working on getting the business part of the operation set up?
Yeah, I feel a lot better than I did. So, I was like anybody. I was scared. I was kind of worried. Like they're like, well, you gotta join or whatever. And you're just like, well, hang on, wait a minute. You're like, well, the question that always comes up is when someone joins is, well, how much money is it? And they kind of beat around the bush like, oh my God, I don't know. And then it was like, all right, I'll do it. And so I did it. And then, then you have someone that's looking over your shoulder. Maybe you don't have someone to hold you accountable for what you got to do. And I mean, the legacy farmer, they'll, it's not like they're mean guys, but they just ask you all the time, like, do you have this? Do you have that? And it helps quite a bit. But yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable where I'm at. That way I know, I can see, we just got into the first quarter and I can kind of see where I'm at. I'm not like a scary ways away from where I need to be, but it shows you the things that you can work on and where you need to go. It helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know, if you didn't know before, if you didn't know anything before, now you know a little bit. Well, it sure does feel a lot better knowing a little bit than not knowing anything at all.
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of the time, we just don't know where to start.
Yeah. It's a hard, I mean, you don't know where to do. No one ever teaches you this stuff. I don't know. I've never known anything, about business or how it's supposed to be run or what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. And,
Yeah.
all the structure and all that. I mean, it helps a lot. So.
Well, and you want somebody who's either been through it before or knows and has a good explanation as to why you do it. Because again, I feel like as farmers, if we don't know, because how many of us are conditioned to seed salesmen coming up to the yard trying to sell you a product, right? Just to sell you something. That doesn't feel good. Like you just get resistant to it.
All right. You just used to saying, no, get out of here. I got things to do. I mean,
exactly.
Tell them to leave a lot of the time,
Yeah. Here's your money. Like, just leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
whatever you want.
the thing is, if I understand why I'm doing something, we talk about why we have entity structure set up, why we have S corps running through the operation to tax our income, why we're getting into tax planning right now and actually being able to file taxes is because of the reason as at the end of the day, for protection, for the legacy that we're going to leave behind. Because at the end of the day, with all the decisions that go on in the operation, literally, and especially financially, one or two bad decisions ultimately can make or break an operation. If there's a piece of ground I buy, right? If there's a tractor I buy when I know my cash flow is tight, but because of tax planning and what my accountant has told me, well, let's just hopefully get through for this year by buying that piece of equipment, and let's just hope for higher prices next year. Like, how many guys do you think are always saying, "Oh, I'm hoping for higher prices next year so we can get through for, and ultimately just have that breakthrough year."
Yeah, that was me hoping.
Yeah, and how much stress and anxiety does that put on a person?
Yeah, it makes you not sleep very well at night. That's for sure.
Don't sleep at night. Like, you just don't feel like you're doing a good job of farming at the end of the day.
All right.
Yeah. So let's talk through. I want to ask you a question around with all the things that we're doing inside Legacy Farmer right now, the bookkeeping. So you got bookkeeping, our coaching calls. We're going through and talking through strategies, or just when members have questions that come up, we're going through that. Tax planning, what we're doing right now, and ultimately getting ready for tax prep. What's been your favorite thing, or thing that's given you the most confidence, and that you enjoy the most so far about Legacy Farmer?
What I enjoy the most, You can just always just send them a message and someone will reply to you. If you got a question about anything, financial or tax wise, or, if you need this piece of paper or that piece of paper, all you have to do is ask one of the people and they'll get right back with you. It's not like a delayed response. So,
How frustrating is it to wait 2 days to hear back from your accountant?
oh yeah, it's a pain in the ass. That's
Even
for
the
sure.
ass. You
I
got
don't
it.
really, I appreciate that you can just get a hold of them. So that's worth a lot.
You're triggered. You're just triggered when that phone call goes to voicemail, right?
Yeah, or to the thing where you got to push the button to get to the next person. Yeah, that just annoys me to death.
Yeah.
I can't take it. I've got better things to do than wait on the phone all day.
That's
So
right. So with everything inside Legacy Farmer, okay, what we're doing now, let's say somebody has been on the fence. We talked a little bit before. You sat on the fence for, was it, how long did you sit on the fence with Legacy Farmer?
I don't know, a long time, way too long, year and a half, maybe two.
You're
I kind
more.
of just debated it. I had a buddy that was in it and he was saying it was all good. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. But finally, I was just like, all right, I'm going to do it. I just told my wife, I said, I'm going to do something today. I don't know. She said, you'd be all right, I guess. And she thought, well, that sounds good. If they can make it all better, let's do it. So
Yeah.
she was happy. And now we're both happy. And it seems like we're in a better spot, way better than we were.
So let's say somebody has been on the fence. Okay, they've either followed along with Legacy Farmer for a period of time and just haven't made that decision. So if somebody were sitting on the fence right now, and you would tell them or give them a piece of advice, what would you say to that person who is sitting on the fence?
If you're sitting on the fence, there's no need to sit there anymore. You might as well jump on in because it'll help you. I mean, you may not think it will, and you may be like, "Oh my God, this is too much," but it's really not. I mean, just being able to like know that you have someone on your side, and they'll show you like your financials or whatever. I mean, they might not tell you exactly what to do with your financials, but they'll be able to show you like where you're at. They'll kind of give you a prediction of where you're going. So, man, it's relieved a lot of stress. That's all I can tell you. It'll help you a lot. So.
Would you say there's a level of trust you have with the team and what we're helping you guys on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, these guys are trustworthy. I mean, you wouldn't think Jason, Andy, and whoever else is on the thing, you would maybe be like, yeah, these guys are, pretty boy, pretty little punk boy. But actually they're actually really smart. They know a whole lot. Like, yeah, they every time sometimes they come up with stuff and you're like, man, how do these dudes know this? But yeah, I'm impressed with what they know. Yeah. So I think they know a lot and they're legitimate. I mean, they're not here just to scam you or anything. I think it's good. So
When I think from, both of our, Jace's too background on his family and having to literally watch the operation go backwards, you start to see members that come in here and those who are in tight positions, and they're very freaking difficult conversations to have. To tell somebody, hey, what you're doing right now isn't working. But that comes from a place of honestly like love and respect for that person. Because I had a great experience with a banker who was like that, gave me the real and raw truth. If we don't have one of those people who are willing to say, if we go over your numbers and say, have those really difficult conversations about cash flow, your position with the bank, who's going to be the one to do it?
yeah, nobody will.
And then unfortunately, that's where these guys are going backwards and losing the whole thing. And we just we can't watch anybody else go through that same experience, because I know I've experienced that and Jace has as well. And that's really what's, if somebody's not willing to step up for them and give them the real and raw truth, man, it's like, how many farm operators will there be in 30, 40 years? There's the acres somebody has to be operating them. So it's,
they're dwindling as we speak. There'd be less
yeah.
and less. We got to get some more farmers out here where I'm only 40, but if we don't have 20-year-old farmers coming up, we might be in trouble here in a couple,
Yeah.
10 or 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Might not look too pretty. It may be all corporate. That's it.
That's right. So
I don't want to see that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So I want to thank you today, Eric, for joining me here today and having this conversation. Appreciate it.